Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Wholesale Dropshipping Champions. This is Jason from Dropshipping University. In this episode, I want to talk about one of the most frequently asked questions, and it actually just came up this week in the Facebook group Wholesale Dropshipping. A gentleman in that group asked a really good question about how he should go and apply shipping costs from his wholesale supplier onto his customer on eBay or Amazon or whatever marketplace he's selling the products. And it's a really good question. It didn't even dawn on me until when he asked that question. It didn't really dawn on me of how important that question was, because a lot of other people are probably wondering the same thing. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Before I go on, if you guys could take a second to like and subscribe to this channel, it would be super appreciated. Thank you guys so much for all of the support thus far. And without further ado, I'm going to get right into this. So what should you do if you're just getting into wholesale dropshipping? What should you do? How should you go about charging shipping to your customer, right? Because the wholesale supplier most likely is not going to factor that into the cost of the product. What they're going to do is they're going to calculate it. Most of the time, they're going to calculate it when you go to check out, because they don't know how much it's going to cost them to ship the product, because the customer could be from all around the country. So it might change from customer to customer, right? You might have a customer who's in California, whereas your supplier's warehouse is in New Jersey. So what's the best way to approach this? Well, there's three different things. There's kind of three different moving parts here, because not all wholesale suppliers have a standard way of doing this. There's very few of them that will actually calculate it into the cost of the product, right? And in that case, you know what, that's the full cost of the product, is what the shipping cost is plus the wholesale cost, right? They've already factored that in. That's super simple, but that doesn't usually happen. Most of the time, you have to calculate it at checkout. So here is a pro tip that I'm going to give you guys when your shipping rates are variable based on where your customer is. I'm going to do a little screen share here and show you guys a little technique, a little software. It's not even software, it's just a website that I use. Just a lot of people haven't heard of this, and it's called City Extremes. Okay, right here we see the input is Miami, Florida, and what we can see here is the furthest and closest cities, okay? And what this does for us is it gives us, right, we see Seattle, Washington. That is the furthest domestic city from Miami, Florida. So what we would do is we would put a zip code in to your supplier's checkout. You put your zip code in for Miami, Florida. There's many zip codes in Miami. Just use a zip code in Miami, and that is going to represent the closest possible shipping cost, right? That's going to be the cheapest possible shipping cost. And then what you do is you do the furthest city. Okay, that would be Seattle. So you get a zip code from Seattle, and you also go through checkout and estimate the shipping from that way. So maybe the Miami shipping cost for that product is $10, and the Seattle shipping cost is $15. So you would average those two. You'd add them up and divide by 2. And there you go. You have your average. That's what we're looking for, is an average. And using this tool can help you find that average. And obviously, over time, you might want to adjust that estimated shipping cost, right? That average shipping cost, you might want to adjust it, because maybe you have that product might be bought more frequently on the West Coast, and your supplier's fulfillment center is on the East Coast, and vice versa. You might have to adjust it over time, but you'll be able to see that trend over time. But this will give you a good baseline, a good average. And if you really want, you can add a little buffer just to protect yourself. Maybe add $1 just to protect yourself so you don't lose money more often than not. So this is a decent way of coming up with the average in a situation like that. I'm just going to come back to my screen share and go back to the way it was before. If I could end the screen share here. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's the second situation, is you calculate it at checkout based on furthest and closest city. Really easy, you come up with the average. The third thing that you can do, and this would be in situations where your supplier is giving these shipping estimations or shipping costs that are just all over the place, and it does happen. I'm not going to come out here and say that doesn't happen. Sometimes it's very hard to decipher what the shipping cost, the actual shipping cost of the product is. Okay, so what you can do in that situation is you can basically get data. And what I mean by that is sell the product, okay, and estimate, just like what we did in that last exercise, estimate a shipping cost. So if you're selling, a product that weighs a pound, it's going to be generally within a range. It's going to be within a general range. When you go to FedEx, UPS, or USPS, you'll see that products that have a weight of 1 pound are generally within a range. So you come up with an estimation. And then if the product sells on eBay or Amazon, you go back to your supplier and you purchase the product, and hopefully you leave yourself a buffer to make sure that you don't lose any money on that product. But even if you do, it's a learning lesson, because let's say you lose $1 or $2, well, now you're going to go and adjust the price up $1 or $2, right? So it's kind of this dynamic. It's kind of dynamic where you want to make sure that you're not losing money. But even if you do lose money on the first 1 or 2 sales of the product, you can go and then change it, right? Those prices can be changed in accordance with the shipping cost over time. So getting that data. The other thing that a lot of suppliers that I work with do is they make it super simple. What they do is they make a tier, a shipping tier. For example, if a product has a wholesale cost between $0 and $25, they'll mandate an $8.99 flat shipping cost, right? Real simple. Now we can go and put that into our eBay listing. Now we factor that in. So whatever we wanted in margin, then go ahead and tack on that $8.99. You're pushing it over to the consumer. They're paying for the shipping, but we're making it free shipping because we all know free shipping is the gold standard in e-commerce nowadays. So factor that in. Make sure that you do the math for the customer so that they don't have to abandon checkout because they're upset that you have the shipping cost for them to pay. I know it's ridiculous, but this is the e-commerce landscape that we live in now. So just do the math for them beforehand, factor it in, and give them free shipping. Okay. So if it was $0 to $25 wholesale cost, it might be $8.99. Now if it's $25 to $50, maybe it's $9.99. $50 to $100, $11.99. So they have it broken down into tiers. Makes it super simple. You can pass on the cost of shipping directly into your listing to the customer. Really simple. So those are the 3 general situations. The supplier, in very little situation, the supplier will add that into the cost of the product, right? And you just pay it right up front. The other situation is where the supplier creates these shipping policy tiers for you, which make it really easy. And the other situation is when you have to literally go and calculate it by figuring out what the furthest domestic city and the closest domestic city, put those zip codes in and actually average it out, and then go pass it on to the customer. Okay, those are the situations that are going to come up. And I know, it might be a little bit weird at first to try to figure this out, but I know you guys can do it. And I really, really think that if you go out there and try this, it's going to work for you. I know it's worked for me in the past. If you guys come up with better ways to approach this problem, it's not even a problem, just approach this hurdle. It's a little bit of a hurdle. If you guys have a better way, let me know. Leave me a comment in the description. I'd love to talk more about this. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more content about wholesale drop shipping, and have a great day. Thank you guys.